I'd like to just ask you quickly, what's your overall assessment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic policies so far vis-a-vis his investment drive for the country?
Right. President Tinubu inherited an economic situation in which the biggest challenge was funding foreign exchange, funding budget, and funding the system. You go to the bank, or you go to the stock market, or you go to the bond market. We had trouble accessing liquidity, either in quantity or in cost. So I'm glad that the president has taken the bull by the horns, and he has correctly diagnosed the situation that the way to stabilize the foreign exchange market is to get foreign direct investment, equity inflow into Nigeria. Nigeria is big.
So how can a symbolic act like the president ringing the closing bell at NASDAQ influence investor sentiment and actual foreign direct investment in Nigeria?
He is the first Nigerian president, if not the first African president, to do that. So he's knocking on the door of equity investors. Prior to now, Nigeria has only knocked on the door of debt, of creditors. So this is the first Nigerian president that is moving away from creditors, as they have announced, and is, warming himself into the heart of equity investors. And you will expect that what will follow is that most of Nigeria's corporate giants will list in stock markets at home and abroad. This is the second time. Yesterday was in NASDAQ, today is in New York, and I hope when he comes back, he can go and ring the bell in the Nigerian Stock Exchange as well.
All right, while we are waiting for that to happen, while we're waiting for that to happen, what are some specific economic indicators or metrics that can be used to measure the effectiveness of such efforts that he is currently on in attracting foreign direct investment to Nigeria?
Okay, a couple of weeks ago, it was in India, and you had investors pledging more than 14 billion US. New foreign direct investment in Nigeria is a first. Before that, you have Nigerian governments going to Eurobonds market to raise $1 billion, $2 billion, and all sorts of those paltry sums. 14 billion in one trip is a first. And now is moving away, from M&A. You can say that those 14 billion investments are mostly mergers and acquisitions, cross-border M&As, brownfield FDI. They are investing in existing companies. Now he's opening the doors to new IPOs. Nigerian companies will now be free to list in stock markets and raise equity. And that's quite significant. So you've got 14 billion in the, coming into the kitty. And look, you have to learn from, what Aramco, Saudi has done with Aramco, listing Aramco in the stock market. Aramco is now worth $2.1 trillion, and Aramco is trying to sell off $50 billion in shares.
Mr. Teriba, not to be pessimist, but are there any potential risk or challenges associated with relying on symbolic gestures like you are outlining rather than actual policy change to attract foreign investment? To use your word, you said $14 billion pledge, not actuality yet.
See, in the world of investment, a pledge is as good as actual. When SKG Pharma announced that they were leaving Nigeria, you didn't doubt that they were leaving. So if you have investors that have announced that they are bringing 14 billion US, more than 14 billion to Nigeria, why are you doubting them? So you cannot believe when investors are exiting and then refuse to believe when investors are entering. So Nigeria is ready for business. And investors are signaling to Nigeria that they are also ready to engage with Nigeria. We should commend President Tinubu for blazing those trails, and we should rally around him, and we should go and get our empty buckets, big and small, to take the inflow of equity investment. We only owe how much in debt? Maybe $120 billion in debt. And if you've got $14, in one trip, $14 billion in one trip, I'm waiting to see how much commitment you are going to get.
I guess, like you, let's give him the benefit of doubt and see what happens in the coming days.
There's no doubt anywhere.
Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.